I've been doing a lot of videos about reverb lately, and I keep thinking that I'm done, and then I come up with another idea about a cool way to use reverb, especially on vocals. So I thought of another one. I promise this is my last reverb video. Oh, actually, I got another idea. So it might be 2 more videos, but then I'm going to be moving on to some bass stuff. So stick with me. Here's my video on using 2 reverbs on vocals. Now, when I say I'm going to use 2 reverbs on vocals, I'm not talking about just layering reverbs, which I do all the time. I'm talking about something that I did a long time ago, back when all I had was this mono spring reverb, which didn't sound all that great. And I had also a mono analog reverb that was kind of like something like this. And I was just trying to find a way to make them sound in stereo, but also in my quest to come up with something unique that was all my own. But I hadn't done this in forever, like 30 years or something. And then recently it popped in my head and I thought, well, let's try it with some plugins. Let's just see what this sounds like. Check it out. For this first example, I'm going to be using a song called In My Shoes by Colin and Caroline. I'll leave a link in the description in case you're interested in them. I'm going to be mixing these reverbs a lot louder than I would normally do in a mix. I just want you to very plainly hear what I'm doing, but also the things I'm doing are pretty subtle, so I hope you can hear them. For the first part of this experiment, I wanted to try it with plate reverbs on the vocals. And I started with this Altiverb emulation of the Rev 7, which is what I originally mixed the song with. And I got a pre-delay on it of 50 milliseconds. And then I found another reverb that I like, and I use this one a lot. This is the Universal Audio EMT 140. And I got a sound that I liked with that, kind of similar to the Rev 7, but it's got slightly less than 50 milliseconds of pre-delay on it. And then I kind of got that sounding where I liked it. And then what I did is I took both of those reverbs and made them mono with the same settings, but not in stereo. Everything else is the same. And then I panned them hard left and right and created a different kind of sound. Check it out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here is the Altiverb Rev 7.
I've been spending time looking at the moon.
Here's the EMT 140.
Spending all my time just thinking about you.
And here's both of them as mono stereo reverbs panned.
But you have never walked a mile in my shoes.
Check it out.
You have never walked a mile in
Here's the Rev 7.
my shoes. So you don't know what it
EMT.
feels like to be in love with you.
Both.
But I sure do.
Cool, right? I mean, it's subtle, but the things I notice is obviously it's more stereo, it's wider, but it's doing this other thing that I find kind of interesting in that as the reverb trails off, the tail end of the reverb seems way cleaner when I'm using them as dual mono reverbs panned apart. And also, like, even the low end sounds a little different when I do it that way. It's very cool. It's definitely unique. And I think I'd probably be able to, lower it in the mix and still get the same thing out of it as opposed to turning up the other reverbs. I'm going to try it now with some hall reverbs. Check this out. First off, I'm going to be using this EOS or EOS reverb. I love this thing. It sounds amazing. It's got a pre-delay of 42.6 milliseconds. And then the second reverb I messed with is just this built-in studio reverb in Pro Tools. It's got 85 milliseconds of pre-delay. Now, 2 things you should be aware of. I wasn't able to do a mono version of the EOS reverb, so I just took the left and right and panned them to one side. Also, this other thing I'm noticing is that I'm not sure if it has something to do with the gain structure when you're doing mono versus stereo, but I'm having to turn up these mono, dual mono versions up a little louder than the originals. I actually have to balance them a lot differently than I thought I would have to, but still sounds good. Here is the EOS reverb.
I was wiser then. I gave myself the chance.
The studio verb.
I took you by the hand. I said, let's go dance.
And then both of them together, panned apart.
But you have never walked a mile in my shoes. You have never walked a mile in my shoes. So you don't know what it feels like to be in love with you. But I sure do.
Cool. You know, again, it's like much wider. It seems a little cleaner on the end, but with these, and I think because I've got these longer pre-delays, if you're listening to the dual mono versions, you actually, the reverb kind of seems to move more left and right. You kind of hear this little movement in there, which I think is pretty cool. For this next example, I'm going to use a song by Al Kapone called Bounce Back. What I started with was room reverbs. I'm using a Revibe room and also a Valhalla vintage verb room. And let's see what that sounds like. Here's the Revibe.
This for my sexy ladies like to keep their nails right. Hair did and their clothes fitting just right.
Here's the vintage verb.
As a rose, glitter on your toes. Picture perfect, got the camera, baby, strike a pose.
Here they are in mono stereo.
Sitting in them shorts, jeans, skirt with a top model walk. Right now it's like wall to wall. This the Fives Club in town, plenty bad bras. I like the way the DJ got them on the floor, and they still coming in line out the door. Gotta drink a couple drinks to get a mind right. Center of attention, yeah, you got the spotlight. Slowly get into your groove with your sexy moves. Rock your hips side to side, let that monkey loose. Let that don't do what it really came to do.
I like that sound. Once again, a little wider in the stereo, a little movement on the left and right, which I dig. On the next one here, I thought I'd try nonlinear reverbs, and I love nonlinear reverbs. First off, I've got the Altiverb emulation of the AMS RMX 16 nonlinear reverb. Boy, try saying that all at one time. And I love this sound. I used to use an actual hardware unit back in the day when I was mixing at Tree Sound. I think that one sounds pretty cool. And then I also tried out just the standard Pro Tools Deverb nonlinear, which I've used as well. Here is the Altiverb.
This for my sexy ladies like to keep their nails right. Hair did and their clothes fitting just right. Smelling sweet as a rose, glitter on your toes. Picture perfect, got the camera, baby.
Now, dual mono.
I like the way your curves sitting in them shorts, jeans, skirt with a top model walk. Right now it's like wall to wall. This the Fives Club in town, plenty bad bras. I like the way the DJ got them on the floor, and they still coming in line out the door. Gotta drink a couple drinks to get a mind right. Center of attention, yeah, you got the spotlight. Slowly get into your groove with your sexy moves. Rock your hips side to side, let that monkey loose. Let that don't do what it really came to do. Bounce, bounce, bend it over, shawty, use a fool.
Cool, man. I think all that sounds really cool as well. It's like, once again, subtle differences, but my whole philosophy of my mixing has always been to, besides making things sound great, I want to have things sound unique. I don't want to do what anybody else is doing. And I also have this philosophy that when you've got a really unique sound and it sounds great, you can actually turn it down in the mix. I've found that when I keep trying to push something up in the mix and it's not working, it's because there's something wrong with the sound. But great sounds, you can turn down. Here's something else I tried. I'm going to go back to the first song. So I got to thinking about how you could kind of hear the reverbs moving around left to right, and it might be more obvious with longer reverbs. So I did something kind of wacky here. I got some crazy sounding reverbs just for the fun of it. First one is an impulse response of a gas tank. And I've used this thing before. Let me just solo it up and show you what it sounds like. It's kind of wacky.
I was wiser then. I gave myself the chance.
I actually have the reverb on this thing turned all the way, the shortest it can be. This thing holds out for like 60 seconds or something crazy like that. But I've used it. It's a little hard to control, but it's a cool sound. The other reverb I tried was a Chapel. I've used this one before. And then the third one I'm going to try out is the Supermassive, which is a free plugin, and you should go get it. This thing is amazing. So let's check these out. Here's a gas tank.
I was wiser then.
Chapel.
I gave myself the chance.
Supermassive.
I took you by the hand.
And then gas tank with the supermassive.
But you have never walked a mile in my
Now,
shoes. You have
Chapel
never walked
and
a
supermassive.
mile in my shoes. So you don't know what it feels like to be in love with you.
And then back to the gas tank.
But I sure do.
I mean, there's definitely some cool stuff going on there. Let's check out these dual monos again. I love this. Gas tank and supermassive.
By now it's time that I told you.
Now Chapel and supermassive.
I fumble for the words every time I get close. If you ask me if I'll take you in.
I mean, obviously, there's way too much reverb on here, but it's a cool effect, man. You can really take this stuff into outer space. Well, that's my experiment. I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, don't be afraid to experiment. You're not gonna break anything, man. It might sound weird, but push the limits. Try something new. Be unique. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Talk to you later.
You have never walked a mile in my shoes. So you don't know